Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
You guys in the service, and I was, this guy was in the service but got out. My buddy never went. There's a few of us, and I was like, well, they're like, I'm a Marine, active duty. He's like, hey, I'd love to buy you a drink. Thank you for your service, which is not uncommon. So I was like, hey, absolutely, absolutely. So he's like, he buys me a shot, and I drank it, and it was like battery acid mixed with rot gut.
Oh boy.
And at first I thought maybe the guy was hitting on me, and I was like, hey, I'll take the drink. Thanks a lot. I don't care. And then the other one, after I took a sip, I just realized either he's playing a joke or he's unpatriotic.
Right.
It's like great. And right. I got to be honest, it put me in an exceptionally bad mood. When you tell like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. That is the best way, literally, figuratively, that's exactly what happened.
Gotcha.
So we wound up bar hopping to a few areas, and I was just livid. I was angry. I can't get what I want. I just want one good thing. Can't I have a glass of cold water? Can't I have a pizza that's crunchy? I mean, just something nice.
Right.
So we hit a few bars, and I think we might have been in the Huntington Beach area.
Huntington Beach, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it was. And then we walk into a place, and I had spent some time in Miami working in the Caribbean for about 3.5 years. So I know rum like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
And I walk in, let me just go with what I know. And right. I didn't know California's not exactly a rum town. Yeah. So I said, hey, what do you have for rum? And he mentioned, a rum that was very, very plain, well. And I was like, don't you have anything else? That's the best you got, And he's like, dude, look up. This is a Scotch bar.
Right.
And I looked up, and I was in shock. And it was a beautiful bar. The whole top of the bar is surrounded with scotches. And I pulled out my Navy Fed. I'll never forget that. It was my red card. I threw it out, and I said, teach me. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, teach me. I know nothing about scotches. I could talk about rum all day long, but I know absolutely nothing about scotches, whiskeys, bourbons, whatever. I go, just don't rip me off. That's all I ask. So he's like, really? You thought I was happy. This guy was jumping around. Okay, this is this, and this is Lefroy, which I still call the frog to this day as a joke.
Right.
And he was like, this you need to have with water. Never let your bartender put any water in your drink. Always ask for it on the side unless you know he's your bartender. And he started teaching me. And I was there for about a good hour to 2 hours.
Wow.
And I didn't even get smashed, didn't get drunk, because he was giving me little micro tastes. And he was just so happy to pass on knowledge, from, to me. And because he was like, wow, So I get back home, and I start my own, because I had a rum collection when I was in Miami. And I was like, well, at this point I have a paycheck, free time, I have a nice bar over here. Let's work on this. So I started working with different types of scotches. I started with whiskeys, went into scotches, and then I started building, I won't say it was prestigious, but a pretty decent collection of scotches. Yeah. And then you have to understand, cooking is in my blood. I make my own beer, I make my own wine, I make my own mead, make my own sausage. It's my love. So I learned about this thing called a legacy bottle or infinity bottle. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, let's try it. So I had like a couple of, about 2 fingers left of Scotch A. And I was like, I really, really like this as a base. So I poured it in my decanter. And then after maybe a week or a month or something like that, I was like, it would be great if I had a little bit more of that, then I called it a smoky flavor. And I was like, okay, I put that. And then as I started like finding scotches and whiskeys, scotches that I liked, I started adding it to my decanter, if you will, or my bottle. Mm-hmm. And people say, so you only use the best. I'm like, no, I can't say that. I use the best for my blend. Because sometimes the best scotch, cheese, wine, whatever, is not necessarily appropriate or the best for the meal.
Right.
So I just kept adding, and it's been over a year at that point, and I had something that I thought it was perfect. It was almost at the top. It wasn't quite filled, but I'm like, I don't want to add anything else. Now, I have dinner parties at my house at least once a week. And I'm major events for me and my friends.
Yeah.
So here I am. I finally pull it out, and they're like, "Okay, guys, it's ready." And they're like, "Okay." So we tried it, and everybody loved it. And then after party after party, because I was only giving out one sample,
Right.
I noticed the level of the bottle is going down and down. It's not going to replenish itself.
Right.
And I might have had some idea, some notes of what was in there, but it's going to be exact. It's perfect. I do not want to mess with it. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then I had a memory of two people in my life. My uncle Luciano, who he used to make his own wine. He calls up California or someplace, a vineyard, and I want a 43% this and a 2% this and a 25%. And they mail him several cases a year,
right.
a case a month or something like that. And the other one was my old boss, Colonel Augustine Bologna. He's a cigar aficionado. He's there like, okay, I want what do you call that? A Connecticut wrapper with a Honduran fill, with this shape, with this gauge. So I'm thinking, if these guys can get cigars and wines made, there has to be a way to make a scotch.
Right.
So, but I don't know who to go to because I'm not in the alcohol business. So I have a good friend of mine, Jim Landis. We went to college together. We went to NYU together. We both did kung fu together. We were in class together. And I remember he has a large, very long family background in the spirits business. In fact, he brought about this one drink you might know, Hypnotic. That was one of his. He owns quite a few other ones. His dad brought Finlandia to America. So I called him up and I'm like, Jim. He's like, you still in the alcohol business? He's like, I live and breathe it. It's like, do you still cook?
Yeah.
I was like, hey,
is
and
the
I
sky
told
still
him,
blue? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he tells me, I was like, listen, I tell my story. And I go, is there a way I can get like maybe a few cases a year, maybe like a case every quarter, something along that? It's like, yeah, too easy. It's not a problem. I'll be down there, not a problem. Next time I come down, because he's me every quarter, and I should see him, we'd have dinner. So he comes down and he has a taste of it over my carbonara. I make one of the best carbonaras you'll ever eat. And he says, like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. He's like, it's worth, reproducing. I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry about it. So months later, he's like, hey, this is what I got. He comes down again. Oh, actually over months later, because he's never done every quarter. So he comes down and he's, presents me with these 3 bottles. And then he's like, which one do you like the most? And it's typical Marine Corps fashion. You have the first is good, the third is good, but the second one is the best. And I was like, that's the one I want. And he goes, that's the closest that we can get to your scotch. So I'm like, great. So after a little bit of an investment in this, because when you're making small batches, it's not cheap.
Right.
I get I can't remember, I get a few cases. Yeah. And I open up the bottles to my friends and they are loving it. They're like, this is great. Where can I buy a bottle? Where can I get it? And I'm like, it's not for sale. You can't. This is mine. This is private, the Dominijanni blend. Yeah. This is Casa Dominijanni blend. You're not going to find it and say, oh, well, let me buy a bottle. I'm like, I can't sell it to you. This is not for sale. I don't charge you when you come to eat. How am I supposed to charge you when you come, to my house?
Right.
So then one of my buddies, very strong New York guy, hey, what you got to do? You got to get this out, bro. This is, you got to you got to sell this. I'd buy a bottle. I'd buy a case right now.
Right.
So I say, like, you guys would really buy this. So I call up Jim again. And I was like, Jim, I got to ask you an honest question. I've known you for a year, quite a bit of time. Two things. Did you really, really like my scotch? He's like, yeah, it was a really good scotch. It stands as a stand-up. It's pretty good. And number 2, do you think I could take this out of my house? Do you think people would buy this? And he's like, with the right advertising, the right bottling, the right, name out there, and et cetera, I think we could do that. So he's like, are you interested? And I know what he was getting at. I was like, Jim, I don't know anything about the alcohol business. I would love to bring this out there. So he kind of, put me on his shoulder, and took me under his shoulder, and then he, we basically are here right now. But one part I would definitely love to mention is how we got the name. Okay. Because that was a momentous day. So he's like, what do you want to name this? Right. And I'm like, my last name, Dominijanni, is such a beautiful name. Yeah. It's a great name for an Italian restaurant. It's a great name for a wine, for a box of pasta, but it doesn't go with scotch.
Yeah, it's not a scotch name.
It's not a scotch name. And Casa Dominijanni, I thought I was going to make wine. I always thought I was going to have my own wine label, but never a scotch.
Well, You're still young.
I can still do it. Yeah,
That might
absolutely.
happen.
So I'm thinking, so he's like, well, what are you thinking? Like, listen, nothing against any of the other scotches out there or any of the other whiskeys and bourbons, but I really don't want to be associated. I want to be away from that, a step away from those honey bourbons and those peanut scotches and stuff like that. I
Right.
want something that's, it's pure, true, just standalone, good, pure, pristine. And I believe I use the word pristine. And he starts laughing.
Yeah.
And he's got his clipboard. He's holding his clipboard like this. And he goes, Fior. And I'm like, I said nothing Italian. Fior is flower in Italian. It's like, no, in Scottish Gaelic, it means pure, like true. And, and I was like, done. He's like, well, number 2, don't read me number 2. You're going to ruin it. I don't want to hear number 2. I don't want to hear number 3.
Right.
We're done. Fior, done. So then, of course, we got into the bottle, the design. When you're in the military, you played, you've read King Arthur and stuff like that. You're into a little bit of heraldry, always catches you. So like, it's Scottish. We got to have something, something Scottish on the bottle, and you have the lion rampant. And so we just kind of went from there, and we cut this off and added this, and looked at the shape of the bottle. It had to have a nice feel, and I learned so much from him. I owe him everything. Without him, I would still be like, trying to make my perfect wine to this day. So, and then here we are now, six awards later. Exactly.
Dominijanni wine. Yeah.
True. So 6 awards later, we are now here, and we have Fior Scotch.
Yeah. I'm excited for you, buddy. I'm proud of you. It's good stuff. And I told you before we started, I'm 57 years old and never had Scotch before. In my life, I'd never had Scotch before.
Right.
And my daughter, who's 23, it's won her over too. So, it's smooth, right? But it's got a little bit of a tingle going down.
Right.
And you can there's different tastes to it. Like, you can taste different things in it. And it's just cool. I mean, I like it. I really do.
A lot of people, when they ask me to describe it, they're like, oh, it has a caramelly and appley flavor. It's got woody. I'm not an expert. Neither are you. And me and you can taste the same exact thing, and I'm going to find notes of apple. You're going to find notes of caramel.
That's what I noted was apple.
Yeah. Absolutely. But again, you have different taste buds than me. So I like to say this. It is not a perfect blend.
Yeah.
But I will say it's perfectly balanced. There is, whenever you meet a person who says, I don't like Scotch, it's too smoky, it's too peaty. Well, those are characteristics from specific areas of Scotland that may not be from other areas. You might, if you like something really, really smoky, quote unquote, smoky, peaty, that's from here. If you want something more minerally, almost salty, from here. So when you say you don't like Scotch, well, you don't like it from that area. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. So what I did is try to make a Scotch that not only I would enjoy, but that my friends would. I cut my teeth on Talisker, which is exceptionally, like, it's strong. It is a fireplace. It is sucking on, and I like that. Don't get me wrong. It is sucking on a piece of charcoal, and I say Fior is being at a fire, like a campfire, but not sucking on a charcoal briquette.
Yeah.
No,
it's really cool. You did a great job. I think it's perfect. I think it's the perfect Scotch for you. That's why you picked it, right? People need to try it to see if it's the perfect Scotch for them.
Yes.
Right.
Because because some people want a stronger note or I want more of a burn. I want a stronger taste. It's like, yeah, absolutely. But I guarantee this, if you try the Scotch, I guarantee you most people love it. Very few people I've said. Some people might be like, I really wish it had more of this note or that note, but you hit center mass. Yeah. That's the part I'm proud of. It has elements that everyone is going to enjoy.
Yeah, and you should be proud of it, man. I mean, you should. This was a real endeavor, right? It was awesome that you had a mentor, that you had somebody who helped you with it. And that's what life's all about, right? So one of these days, and this has probably already happened to you, you're going to come across a young person like you used to be, right? You're going to come across a young person that needs guidance, that you see needs a little bit of help. In honor of Jim and in honor of all the people that have helped you in your life, pay it forward, right?
I've
stopped for a second, come alongside them
Mhm.
and help them. That's what
I've
this is all about. As a community, we enrich each other.
Yeah, I've lived my life with that. I was
Yeah.
a big brother when I was in college. I had a kid from a foster home. I'm actually was very interested in. I just don't have the time right now,
Yeah.
and that is something actually I tell a lot of people. There was no one there for me. I never had that person to. Jim is the first person ever to like help me out and stuff like that. I'm very very grateful for him. The best way I could say I've done that was in the Marine Corps. You
Yeah.
see that one lieutenant or that one sergeant. It's the you just give them like, hey. Just that little bit of advice. Forget about help. You don't even have to give them help.
Yeah.
Just 5 seconds of your time and go left instead of going right.
Yeah.
Try this instead of that.
Yeah.
But all I ask is this. Same thing. It's like you'll see sometimes, things that I've done when I was younger. I had too much food for Christmas. I had a whole bag of stuff as a homeless guy, and I gave it to him. It's paella.
Yeah.
And as a homeless guy, he's looking at me. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be on the road. I'm not going to be able to eat it. All I ask is that when you are not hungry and you see someone else who's hungry, just pass. This is before that term "pay it forward" came out. This is 1991.
Yeah.
Just do me a favor and help someone else out. That's it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time someone's has done it to me. So I like to say that hopefully, this is something that I deserve.
It is.
I feel really great about it.
Going forward, right? And I know this is how you're built, right?
Mhm.
You loved leading Marines.
Mhm.
You love being around people. You love adding value to people's lives,
Mhm.
right? And that's what you're about. That's how you roll, man. And that's what I'm so excited about for your future is your opportunity to lead, your opportunity to help, right?
Mhm.
And oftentimes it's, I was just on social media the other day. I went to a restaurant I've gone to for 2 years. And one of the guys that I know really well knows me on a first name basis. I walked up to him, patted him on the back and said, "You're doing a great job." He nearly started crying.
Mhm.
You never know what people are going through. You know this. You never know what they're going through. Just pat them on the back and acknowledge them.
Exactly.
For what they're doing, right? Like thanking you for your service, thanking you for protecting our great nation, right? That kind of thing. It only takes a second. But
Yeah.
people being recognized appreciate it. That validation is big.
Yeah, I know that if I would, there was one story I'd really love to tell. It's not really pertaining to the Scotch. If I have about 30 seconds to do so.
You have all the time you need.
Thank you. When I was in 29 Palms, it's really sad. I'm kind of like misting up, but it's middle of nowhere. It's just sand and grass. And I used to go to this little place. I can't remember the name of it. It was they sold ice cream and craft beer, and I think frozen. To me, it was one of the best places to eat. And there was this kid there that I didn't realize. There was this kid there, and he was talking to me, and we just, he was really young. He was probably about 15 years old. And then he was like, "Hey, are you in the military?" And I obviously said I was the only one who didn't have a mohawk with, the lip rings and, and it was all that other stuff. I'm Mr. Clean Cut, no tattoos at the time. And I just obviously stood out. And they all knew me because they're like, "It's that guy."
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and he says, like, "Yeah, my dad was a SEAL. So was like my grandfather or something like that." And they said I would never amount to it, and blah blah blah. And I always wanted to join the military, but I had a problem with drugs and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, you're not gonna, you'll never get there unless you try. Forget about what they said. If they say you don't have it, use that as a stepping stone. Take all that frustration from them telling you you're not doing it and use it as a stepping stone to try to succeed in life."
Right.
And it's not hard. You think I was strong when I was younger? I was weak, and I just got tired of getting picked on. And I said, "Hold on a sec." And I went in, and I always had a Green Lantern T-shirt. It's something. It's a symbolism for me and my friends. I was a little bit of it was a superhero gift to me.
Yeah.
And it was all ripped up in holes and stuff like that. And I went to my car. I said, "I'll be right back in a second." I gave them. And it's like when they tell you that you won't amount to anything, maybe it's just like, you could be your own superhero.
Yeah.
The kid broke down crying
in
front of me. And he said, "Thank you. No one's ever said anything like that to me before." And I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, I'd use at that point, I was very still stoic, and his stepfather, I didn't know his stepfather and his mother worked behind the counter. And they thanked me. I didn't know because the kid's white, the stepfather's black, his mother's white. Yeah. And he says, "That's my son." And it's not even his own father's ever said that to him. It was a very good day for me, I guess. I didn't mean anything by it. Sorry.
No, you're fine, dude. This is what I'm talking about, though. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. We get so busy and we get so wound up in what we're doing, and we get so focused on what we're trying to produce, right? And we don't take the time to look around us and appreciate the people that are around us, right? That's a big deal. What you experienced is a big deal, and I want people to hear it. I want people to take a lesson from what you experienced from that story, and I want them to use it to go out and make this world a better place, because
And
that's our
it's
job.
easy.
That's our job. Yeah, it's very
The
simple,
worst,
right?
the worst part is people don't realize how simple it is to make a difference in someone's life. Just like you said, it's just a pat on the back.
Yeah.
It's just instead of throwing the food in the garbage, give it to the homeless guy who's sitting there. You don't have to give a guy $1 or a nickel or give him a car.
Right.
Maybe just give him 5 seconds of your time. Smile at the person.
Smile. Wave
Just
to
smile
them.
and go, hey,
Right.
man. And it's like, hey, great shirt.
Yeah.
Awesome shoes. Where'd you get those? Even if you don't care, just everyone's got a story, and people want to hear. They want to tell you their stories, and sometimes they just need someone to just say, "I'm having a great day today." Forget about all the bad stuff in my life today. Wow, what a beautiful day! I'm like, it is.
Yeah.
May you have a great one. And actually, this is part that I forgot. My Fior Scotch toast. I don't know if you've heard about that. So I live my household. I keep certain rules in my house. My house is an extension of myself.
Right.
Okay. It's this is Casa Dominijanni. This is King Arthur's castle, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And I have a Dominijanni toast. This is my household toast, and it's also I put it towards Fior as well. You take your glass. Unfortunately, I don't have one, but you would do. You look at the person in the eye, and you say, "May you get what you deserve." And if the person looks at you and says, "Yo, what is that supposed to mean?" The person didn't live a good life.
Yeah.
But when you go up to the person and say, "May you get what you deserve," and they go, "Brother, thank you so much. May you get what you deserve." You're talking to a person that's led a good life.
Yeah.
So that's my big thing. I just absolutely love it when you go, "May you get what you deserve."
Yeah. I love it. See, that's it. What you just shared with us in terms of telling people your story, right? You just told us your story. We've got it on tape. And now people worldwide are going to get a chance to get to know you. And your story is going to inspire and motivate them. I promise.
I hope it does.
Pay it forward because of the example you've set.
I hope it does. And, people have asked me, I've already had people ask me advice. I do my best to answer as many people as I can. I'm only one person, and I don't want, some people, I hire someone to do that or something like that. No, then you're not getting advice from me.
Right.
I would never do that. I may not get around to it. It's not because I'm ignoring you. I just can't get to that many people.
Right.
But they ask me like, what do you recommend? I'm like, don't do it. I want to make my own scotch. I want to make my own bourbon. I want to do this. I'm like, unless you know somebody in the alcohol business,
right.
Don't do it.
Right.
It's not easy. It's really not easy.
I have some advice for you.
I just tell people I am not a master blender. I have a master blender. I am not a amazing sommelier, a this, that, whatever you want to call it. I just got lucky.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. There was a lot of love. I put my soul into this. I'll say that. And if you put your soul into anything, if you put your heart and your soul, like the muses, an artist has to put his heart and soul into it. A person who just dances without love for what he does is not a dancer. A person who cooks and I'm just going to throw stuff together. That's why microwaves were created, just to get it done. That's fuel. A person who loves to cook creates masterpieces.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. And I'm so unbelievably proud of you. Eric Dominijanni, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience.
Mike, it means a lot. Much appreciated. Please feel free to reach out to me. And like I said, if anyone else wants to know, you could always find my scotch at www.fiorscotch.com. And if you do order a bottle, just let me know. My email is right there. Contact me, ericd@fiorscotch.com. I would love to know what you think, good or bad.
Yeah. You're awesome, buddy. I'm sure proud of you.
Much appreciated, Mike.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram @Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.